Panelists, everything is.
Great. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. This is Palm Springs Mayor Jeff Coors, and I want to welcome everyone to our COVID-19 webinar this morning. Very much appreciate everyone calling in. For those who are joining from our deaf and hard of hearing community, we have live captions on Palm Springs Community Television, which is available on Spectrum Channel 17 and also on our website. To watch on our website, you can go to www.palmspringsca.gov and click on the Watch Palm Springs TV button. We have a number of presenters today who are going to cover a wide range of issues important to residents and workers in Palm Springs and throughout the Valley. Mayor Pro Tem Christy Holstedge, as well as myself. Leslie Trainer, who's the Deputy Director of Workforce Development for the County of Riverside. Megan Beeman-Wasento, Founding Attorney of Beeman-Wasento Law, PC. Nathan Krasinski, Program Manager for Fair Housing Council of Riverside County, is also joining us as a presenter today. And really want to thank all of them for their efforts to help put this together, as well as Jade Barada, our Economic Development Director for the city, who is running this PowerPoint that he put together with the help of some of our panelists. I just want to start by saying how much everyone at the city, the whole city council, appreciates how cooperative our residents and workers and businesses have been with the stay at home and the non-essential business closes. People have really stepped up so we can get through this with the least amount of harm to everyone's lives. I think we all know how anxiety producing the situation is, how people are really struggling, worried about being able to pay the rent, put food on the table. And the city has really been focused throughout this on getting information and collecting information so people have access to it all in one place. And we're doing that on our website at palmspringsca.gov. We're collecting as much federal, state, county, and other information as we can in different groups for residents, for employees, for businesses, health information, and everything we can get for folks. We have set up a special email that people can send questions to, which is coronavirusquestions@palmspringsca.gov. We have a hotline that people can call with questions. Not if you have a medical issue, you should be calling the Eisenhower hotline or your doctor. And the Eisenhower hotline number is on our website. But we have a hotline that our staff is answering to try and help people with questions they have for the city at 760-902-1155. And this is a really good opportunity. If you don't get e-notifications from the city, to please sign up so you get those throughout this crisis and any other crisis that may come in the future. The information is on the screen, but it's at www.palmspringsca.gov/residents/e-notification. So please sign up for that so we can keep you updated. Everyone should have received or is receiving a postcard from the city with all of this information as well that we mail to every resident in the city. I want to turn it over very briefly to our city manager, Dr. David Reddy, who has really done an extraordinary job keeping the city moving forward throughout this and working with the council and the staff to continue to provide services for all of our residents and provide as much information as we can. So Dr. Reddy.
Thank you, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. This is a great forum that you're doing. So thank you for doing that. I just want to take a moment and just note that, government business relations are so hugely important. And all of you know, for the better part of the last 10 years, we've been focused on building the fertile ground. So businesses, large and small, and with particularly small businesses, which is the uniqueness of our tourism town, could thrive. And it was just sort of in a matter of days, all turned around. So we're focused on what we can do to get through this. We're focused on re-entry into the economy And I just want you to know that the services at City Hall, the team you have there is working hard in every aspect, and government and business relations and helping you survive this is hugely important. So that's why obviously the mayor and the mayor pro tem have programs like this, and we'll be doing more of it. And I would just finalize saying, we're here for you, and anything that we can do, please don't hesitate to call. Thank you, Mayor.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Ruddy. I want to turn it over now to Leslie Traynor, who's going to talk about impacts to workers, which obviously is a huge issue right now. The majority of the workforce is unable to work, and I know there are a lot of concerns, and we've had a lot of questions, and really appreciate, Leslie, you joining us to go over all of this.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you to the City of Palm Springs for inviting me to speak. I'm very pleased to be on today to share this information. As introduced, my name is Leslie Traynor. I'm with the County of Riverside Workforce Development Department. And I'm hoping today to talk with you about some resources for impacted workers and close with a little bit of information on things we're doing to strengthen employers who are equally important in the workforce development ecosystem. So the slides that I've prepared are jam-packed with information, and I've got about 15 minutes allocated to me today. I've got a little stopwatch going in the background so I don't overrun my time. But what I plan on talking about is what you see in front of you, and those are some specific programs and resources available to impacted workers. And for each of these on the slides, there's information about eligibility, the amount of benefit, and how you would apply for each. So I'm going to go through quickly on some of these and spend a little more time on unemployment insurance because that is the hot topic right now. So next slide, please. All right, so for my department, Riverside County Workforce Development, although our centers are closed to the public right now, the team at Workforce Development is very much working and on the job. We're providing services by phone, by email, and we're trying to get creative with delivery of services via other electronic means. So some of the things that we offer, if you are an impacted worker, we provide career coaching. We can help you update your resume. We can help you with mock interviews. Even though things seem a little bleak right now, there are actually employers who are hiring. So if you need help getting work ready, we have boot camps and workshops for work readiness. Most of those used to be in person, but we're retooling them to deliver virtually. We can also send you to vocational training and pay for up to $8,000 per person. There are some training providers who are still providing services right now virtually. We have great information that we get from the State Employment Development Department for labor market data, and we have access to a whole host of partners that we work with, such as Public Social Services if you need to get information on SNAP or CalWorks, Veteran Services if you want to take advantage of everything you deserve for your service, housing assistance, and so on. The little square at the bottom that says contact us, if you have any questions really about any of the information I'm going to show you on these slides, feel free to email at workforcehelp@rivco.org, call that phone number that's listed on there, or go to our website, rivcoworkforce.com, where we've got a whole lot of great links and helpful information. So unemployment insurance by far is the topic that I'm getting asked about most. And so I want to spend a little more time going through it. And in the following slides, we're going to look at regular unemployment insurance benefits, as well as the expanded unemployment insurance benefits under the CARES Act. The CARES Act, if you were curious, it stands for Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. It's at the federal level. And what I refer to in these slides as expanded unemployment insurance is also known as federal pandemic unemployment compensation. And I mention that because there are a lot of these benefits that are known by multiple things. And if we're all on the same page with nomenclature, that makes things a little less confusing. I also wanted to just very briefly explain how the money and procedure flows, so that everybody has sort of a better understanding of the system that's involved. So the unemployment insurance program in general and some of the other benefits we'll talk about are federal. They start at the federal level through the Department of Labor. And the Department of Labor is then responsible for sending the funds and policy and guidance down to the states. In the state of California, it's the Employment Development Department, or EDD, who implements these federal programs at the state level. So we oftentimes see a lag when something starts at the federal level and then takes time to have the money and the guidance transfer from the federal level to the state level. And we are definitely living in that lag right now. So if we go to the next slide, there's some information here about who is eligible for unemployment insurance. And this Part A at the top talks about regular unemployment insurance eligibility requirements. So you don't have to be totally unemployed, but if you've experienced a reduction in hours, that's an eligibility issue. It's through no fault of your own. You're authorized to work in the U.S. You're ready, willing, and available to work. Although I think that the EDD has has loosened up those requirements right now because of the COVID pandemic. And there are also there's some latitude if your child's school is closed and you're off work because you need to care for them. Because EDD does administer this program, I've put hyperlinks in this presentation so you can go directly onto EDD's website and get a full listing of eligibility requirements. In Part B here, it talks about the expanded unemployment benefits under the CARES Act, which are separate. And this is the juicy part if you are self-employed or an independent contractor. For most folks who are self-employed, you probably don't pay into the state's unemployment insurance fund, which would render you normally ineligible to apply for regular unemployment insurance. Under the CARES Act, one of the big benefits with the CARES Act is that it opens the door to the expanded unemployment benefits to individuals who are self-employed, independent contractors, freelancers, whatever the case may be, just not paying into the unemployment insurance fund. You can qualify for this expanded unemployment insurance program. There's a link to the CARES Act that I put in here. If you click on it, I'll warn you, it's going to take you to the actual bill, which is 300 plus pages and a bear to read unless you're up in the middle of the night and need something to get you to sleep. But for right now, it really is the biggest, best source of information until the Department of Labor pares that down and the Employment Development Department gives us a scaled down version of that. So next slide, please. So the other question that I get asked a lot is how much are the benefits? And that, by the way, is laid out on each slide for each of these benefits we'll talk about. The answer is really for both types of unemployment, well, for regular unemployment insurance, it really depends on what your current and past earnings have been. There's a calculation that the EDD does to determine what your benefits will be on unemployment insurance, but they typically range between $40 and $450 per week, and you get those for up to 26 weeks. There are links here to the benefit calculator so you can try and figure out for yourself what those benefits may be. For the expanded unemployment insurance under the CARES Act, that is up to $600 per week. And if you're getting regular unemployment insurance, you would get the expanded unemployment insurance on top of that. In fact, there have been some news articles out talking about, in some cases, some folks will actually be earning more income on unemployment, unbelievably, than they did from their regular earnings if they're combining both. Next slide, please. How do you apply? This is a tricky question. So I want to preface everything I'm going to say by pointing out the little chart on the right. And the chart on the right shows you the number of unemployment insurance claims that the EDD has received per week for the past 4 weeks or so. And this is regular unemployment insurance, not even counting the expanded. In a 1 week time period from March 21st to 28th, they experienced a 370% increase in processed claims. And they on every phone call I've been on with them, they are very much feeling the pain of this increased need. And so their turnaround times, which even before the coronavirus epidemic were kind of slow, are tremendously impacted right now. And a good amount of patience is required if you're applying for unemployment insurance. Based on the information we've gotten from EDD, the best option is to apply online through the unemployment insurance website. You can do that on a computer, or you can do it on your smartphone. The EDD has said that their website is mobile friendly. I have yet to have that confirmed. If you find out, let me know what your experience is. The second option, only if you are unable to file online, you can call them. And I've given Jay a handout with really detailed step-by-step instructions, phone numbers, websites, everything you would need to apply. So check that out. And then the option of absolute last resort is a paper application. It takes the longest. And, it's possible that the paperwork might get lost and so on. So try to avoid that if possible. For the expanded unemployment insurance benefits, we don't know yet. EDD has not provided guidance on how to apply. I recommend you periodically check the EDD website. Okay, so I want to move on from unemployment insurance to a few paid leave programs. So this is, if you're not unemployed, but you're on leave, what are your options? And so there's three we're going to talk about, and the first two are on this slide. And I know this is a lot of information. If we start on the left-hand side, the disability insurance program is also administered by the Employment Development Department, EDD. There's a good hyperlink with an overview of the program. So if you are a worker and you yourself are ill based on a non-work issue, you could potentially qualify for this if you have had a full or partial loss of wages because of that illness. The benefit really depends on what your current and past earnings have been, but they range from about $50 to $1,300 a week for up to 52 weeks. And there's information on how to apply. Paid family leave is very similar. The difference is that if you've lost hours at work because you're caring for a seriously ill family member. So disability insurance means you're the one that's out sick because you are ill. Paid family leave, you're out sick because a family member is ill and you're taking care of them. The benefit amount is very similar to disability insurance, and instructions for applying are on the slide. The next is paid sick leave and family medical leave. And these particular programs came through at a federal level through Families First Coronavirus Response Act. And if you want a link to the Department of Labor's website with an overview, it's a lot more friendly than the CARES Act. It's not the actual bill, it's an overview. It's easier to read. And there's the eligibility requirements. Basically, if you're impacted by COVID-19 due to illness or quarantine or medical diagnosis or caring for somebody who fits one of those descriptions, you may be eligible. For paid sick leave, it's up to 2 weeks worth of benefits at somewhere around 2/3 of your regular rate of pay up to the full amount of pay. For paid expanded family and medical leave, that would be an additional 10 weeks of benefits at 2/3 of your regular rate of pay. And again, for details on all of those, because I know I'm going really fast through this, there's lots of hyperlinks in here. And obviously you can email me or call us and ask any questions that you have too. Okay, next slide. So on the left-hand side, Onward California, onwardca.org, is a new platform that Governor Newsom announced in a press release last week. It's designed to basically broker relationships between dislocated workers and employers who are hiring, and they're in critical industry. So I had mentioned earlier, if you need your resume updated because you want to apply, this is where that could come together for you, onwardca.org. Benefits.gov is a cool search tool for federal benefits. And the Labor Department for California has a great chart that summarizes some of this information. And then they have some FAQs on coronavirus, all of which are linked at the left. I also wanted to briefly mention the $1,200 that we all keep hearing about. That's through the one-time stimulus benefit as part of the CARES Act. And that is being handled through the IRS. And in order to qualify, you just have to have an eligible Social Security number, not be claimed as somebody else's dependent, and be within the given income limit. If you reach a certain income limit for your household, the benefits start to phase out. And at one point, if you earn enough money, you get no benefit. So the IRS website is linked there to see those thresholds. How much is your benefit? That's the $1,200 max plus $500 per child. It all looks like it's set up to be fairly automatic. If you filed a tax return for 2019 and 18, the IRS uses the information on the returns to determine your benefit amount and make payment. If you have not filed tax returns because you receive Social Security and don't have any taxable income, that's okay. The IRS uses information from your Social Security Form 1099 to make your payment. And if you didn't file a tax return for 2019 or 18 for other reasons and you don't receive Social Security, I recommend you click on the link here, Do I Need to File a Tax Return, to see if there's anything you need to do to claim that stimulus benefit. And then I have one last slide, and I'm at my 15-minute mark. So I will just add that we are here for employers as well. If you know of an employer that makes any of these critically listed products or services, please contact me, let me know. And on the last slide, just want to end with letting you know that we are here for you. We're here for you in the good times, and we definitely feel a responsibility to be here for you in the bad. And so let us know if there's anything we can do to assist. And again, to the city of Palm Springs, thank you so much for letting me be part of this.
Great. Thank you so much, Leslie, and thank you for all of your great work. And that was a great deal of information. So just so everyone knows, we will have this, the PowerPoint, the recorded webinar on our website. We'll be running it on Channel 17, and we'll be posting it on social media. So people will be able to go through it slower, look at everything, and all the great hyperlinks that have been put in that Leslie referenced will all be there so people can get more information. Now we're gonna move it over to workers' rights. And Megan, really appreciate knowing how busy you are both in your law practice and as a council member in Coachella doing really great work. We really appreciate you joining us. So I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, for having me here today. I'm really happy to talk about the workers' rights aspect of the crisis that we're all going through. So if we want to move to the first slide, thank you. You know, at all times, even before this crisis hit us, we have rights as employees to enjoy a healthy and safe workplace at all times. So that's not something new or something that has to be reinterpreted in the new situation. Every employer under the Labor Code and also the California Code of Regulations must furnish employment and a place of employment that is safe and healthful for the employees. Employers also cannot permit employees to perform tasks or to enter spaces which are not safe and healthy, and must do everything necessary to protect the life, safety, and health of their employees. So that, you know, a lot of times when people think about those protections, they're thinking about very high risk, you know, physically dangerous jobs like construction or mining, things where you'll often hear of serious accidents at work. But these same regulations apply in every workplace, including even in government workplaces. And they're definitely applicable now. And for workers, and I've heard from many of these workers who feel that they're suffering at work either because certain safety measures are not in place, or because they're feeling, you know, like mental health impacts of the situation or panic attacks and so forth. I encourage them to think about these protections, and then we also talk about what their legal options will be if they want to enforce any of them. You can move to the next slide. In addition, Cal OSHA, which is the state Occupational Safety and Health Administration, has already released a ton of new regulations that are specific to the COVID-19 situation and specific to different types of industries. So it wasn't worthwhile to try to parse them all out here. There are so many of them. I did include a link here, but they're essentially implementing those same protections, but in more specific ways, given the nature of the risk that's now presented by COVID and or the coronavirus. The way that these protections are enforced is by Cal OSHA itself, which again is a department of the state of California. In order to trigger that enforcement, a person has to report the potential safety or health risk to Cal OSHA. Now, we of course know that a lot of people are hesitant to make those type of reports because they could be afraid of retaliation or, other negative consequences of making the reports. You can make an anonymous report to Cal OSHA by the same line. And here I've put the local phone number, which is a 24-hour phone number, up on the slide. An anonymous report, however, doesn't get the same type of follow-up, and it prevents Cal OSHA from asking questions or obtaining details that it might need to really be effective in enforcing the requirements. So there's a drawback to it. The other option for people that truly want to make anonymous Cal OSHA reports right now is that our partners at the United Farm Workers Union have developed a web form. And they're using that web form to collect Cal OSHA complaints and transmit them to Cal OSHA like as a third party anonymously. And that's in the context of every workplace, not just the farm workplace that you might normally associate with the United Farm Workers Union. So I didn't put a link to that form here, but everyone is welcome to contact me or track me down on Facebook, and I'd be happy to connect people to the web form if desired. We can move to the next. In addition to the general protections that require a safe and healthy workplace, there are also specific protections for people who are injured or become ill due to conditions in the workplace. So this is what many people would just think of as a workers' comp system, and actually Mayor Pro Tem Holstead is much more of an expert in this than I am. But in general, what I can tell you is that if a person becomes ill or injured because of at work, because of something that's happening at work, whether it's an infection in the workplace or whether it's an accident or something else that causes the illness or injury, every employer has a worker compensation insurance policy in place, or should under the law. And that policy covers any illness or injury, regardless of who's at fault. If someone were to become ill now with COVID, they could potentially be eligible for worker comp benefits if they can link it to the workplace. The benefits to worker comp are sort of similar to the disability benefits that Leslie was describing earlier, are meant to replace wages that might be lost and also future medical care costs. Next slide. As of last Sunday, I think it was Sunday, April 5th, with the Riverside County's updated order, there are some very specific requirements that apply to the workplace. Before it was kind of, more vague. We're just looking at the Cal OSHA standard and thinking about what is a safe and healthy workplace. Now, Riverside County is specifically saying that during the COVID emergency, all the employers who are still operating, which would be essential businesses, must provide face coverings to their employees and must require that those face coverings are used at all times. The employers are also required to ensure 6 feet of distance between employees to ensure sanitation in the workplace. So, those are things that we would have assumed are necessary under the vaguer rules, but now they're specifically ordered by the county, and we're seeing better compliance since Sunday. Now, of course, there are workplaces all over the valley and probably all over the nation that are not implementing these requirements, or suggestions or best practices. And so where we're seeing violations, I think it's incumbent upon all of us who are not there, day in, day out, risking our lives at work. And I'm talking about the panelists, not about the viewers. I think we can help when we see those violations, reporting them. We're not reporting the employees or trying to get the employees in trouble. What we're doing is reporting the situation so that the applicable enforcement agency, which might be the county or Cal OSHA, can come and ensure that the workers that continue working are in the healthiest conditions possible. So a county environmental health is doing some of the enforcement on this piece. Also in certain cities, some of the cities have empowered their code enforcement to enforce portions of this rule, including Coachella, and I'm not sure which other cities. And then Cal OSHA would be the other enforcement agency for this situation. Last slide. So just going back to sort of the risk and the fear of retaliation that I mentioned earlier, the law explicitly prohibits retaliation for someone who's making a complaint about an unhealthy or unsafe situation at work. So that's true if the complaint is made to the employer or to the supervisor, and also if it's made to Cal OSHA. Retaliation means, in basic terms, it means like negative action or negative consequences for standing up for your rights. So that is definitely prohibited. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. I like to be realistic and not try to promise that the world is perfect. It's not. So when retaliation happens, if it happens, that's an actionable legal claim that a person could bring against the employer in the future. That doesn't solve anything in the moment. So that's why we continue to give out the information about making anonymous complaints, because that's one solution if there's a real fear of retaliation. I think, so that's all of my slides. That's sort of the crash course on what's out there right now to protect workers. I really encourage everyone who's not working to report violations that they're hearing about or seeing. And also for those who are working, I really encourage people to continue reaching out to lawyers who can give them specific advice about their situations and help connect them to the agencies that can enforce right now. Now is not the time to be thinking about lawsuits. We have much more important things to worry about, but people can definitely protect themselves by knowing their rights and knowing how to ensure that their workplace is as safe and healthy as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan. That was incredibly helpful information. And similar to Coachella, Palm Springs, both through our police and our code enforcement, can enforce violations. And it's so important that we're keeping our workers who need to work, people who never thought they'd be, frontline employees in a crisis like this, safe. And in Palm Springs, you can call our non-emergency line, which is 760-327-1441. And that's also on our website to report any of those violations. We're now going to move over to issues relating to rent and evictions. And we'll have 3 speakers on this. We're going to start with Mayor Pro Tem Christy Holstage to just briefly go over the Palm Springs ordinance. And then we're going to turn it back to Megan, who practices in this area, as well as Nathan, who is the program manager for fair housing in Riverside County.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as many people know, at our last council meeting, we went ahead and unanimously approved a moratorium on evictions for the city of Palm Springs. So please help us share this information and spread the word, because it is time sensitive for tenants in Palm Springs. Our moratorium applies to both commercial or industrial, so business tenants, as well as residential tenants in homes or apartments or wherever you live. So the rule is that you're required to notify the landlord in writing within 15 days after the rent is due if you're unable to pay your rent due to the financial impacts of COVID-19. That is broad, so it means that if you've lost work or your job, you've lost income because of the pandemic, because of closures. Also, if you have increased expenses due to health, for example, if you have health bills for getting sick from COVID-19. Also, if you have lost income for staying at home to take care of a homebound child, or if you need to take care of a household member, family member who is ill. So you need to notify your landlord in writing within 15 days after the rent is due. So if your rent is due on April 1st, that means the deadline would be midnight on April 15th to notify your landlord. You're able to do that and notify your landlord in writing by letter. You can also do text or email to your landlord if you've texted them or emailed them in the past. And really all you need to provide is, that you've been financially impacted by COVID-19, and that affects your ability to pay the rent. The moratorium doesn't relieve a tenant from the obligation to pay the rent, and landlords are still able to recover rent that's due once the moratorium is lifted. Our moratorium gives tenants 180 days or 6 months after the local emergency to pay that rent, or before people can be evicted for non-payment of rent. So basically this rule prevents landlords from evicting tenants serving a 3-day notice for non-payment of rent. We also are preventing landlords from evicting people or attempting to evict people for unauthorized occupants due to COVID-19. So if you have a family member who needs to move in with you to take care of them, you can't be evicted for having an extra person who's not on your lease. Same things with pets. So if you have a family member and you need to take their pet in, but pets aren't allowed under your lease, you wouldn't be able to be evicted for that reason if it's due to COVID-19. And we also prevent any nuisances, any evictions based on nuisance because of COVID-19. So I encourage everyone to pull that ordinance or call the city to get more information about how this might apply to you. If you are getting eviction notices or other notices from your landlord, you can contact an attorney and get specific legal advice about that issue. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you so much. And now we'll turn it over back to Megan and to Nathan to go over some additional information not specific to Palm Springs.
Thank you. This is Megan again. So I'll just start and maybe I'll stop where my expertise ends because I know Nathan is very knowledgeable and helpful. I'll just say one of the concerns I had with these eviction moratoria initially as a tenant advocate is that a lot of times landlords, and this is the same with employers too, a lot of times landlords are not aware of new requirements when they're initially passed. So I was worried that there would be a number of evictions started in the court in violation of this moratorium and also the state rules. And I just want to add, sort of tailing onto Christy's presentation, that the courts have issued a new rule as of last week that no landlords and no lenders are allowed to move forward with eviction or foreclosure proceedings in the court, regardless of the reasons for those proceedings, until I think it's 90 days after the COVID declaration of emergency expires. So that's an even stronger protection in that sense than what we had attempted to do in the city levels, because a landlord can't even do it in error or on accident or maliciously. It's just not going to process through the court. So I want everyone to be aware of that. But in order to take advantage of the protections that the cities, some of the cities are offering, including Palm Springs, and also the less protective state rules. It is important that tenants are aware of what they need to do to enact those protections. And so Mayor Pro Tem Holstead went through those, but we also encourage tenants to explain as best possible to the landlord what their financial situations are, to keep track of and keep copies of all their financial documents, or in other words, evidence of the financial situation, and to make a good faith effort to pay portions of the rent that they can pay, to sort of maintain a good relationship with the landlord and also ensure that they're following the requirements of the state rule and also the city rule. Next slide. Do you want to take this one, Nathan?
Sure. One of the things that's very important to understand is communication. You need to keep that communication open between the tenant and the landlords and explain the situation that's going on. But one of the things that we have noticed just from the calls that have come in, quite frankly, is some of the landlords actually don't understand these regulations, whether they're for Palm Springs or any of the other surrounding cities or for the county or the state, and they disagree with it. And you are not required to provide proof to the landlord at the time that you send them the letter stating what your situation is. You need to simply write the explanation. And we typically here at Fair Housing recommend everything in writing. I know that they talk about verbally, but we definitely recommend everything is in writing so that you have that record for it. We also work with a lot of the landlords themselves. We're providing them with links to the information, we're sending them the information, and we're also giving them tools that they can actually contact the Small Business Administration for disaster relief so that they can make their mortgage payments, because that is the common complaint from a landlord's point of view is, well, they still have to make their payments, so the tenant needs to pay their rent. So it's really important that if there are any landlords that are also listening, that you understand that there are tools available to you to help carry you through this particular situation. We definitely recommend, I know it was covered on the previous slide, but we recommend that you pay as much as you possibly can, knowing that finances are tight, but that you don't simply decide not to pay rent, but you pay something or as much as you can, because as was stated, once the moratoriums are lifted, you are still required to pay back that back rent. And we're concerned as an agency here as to the financial impact that that's going to create on people going back to work after the COVID-19 is passed and being able to pay those funds back and not get evicted. So if you have any funds available, it's definitely recommended to go ahead and pay some. Whether you pay half of it, a quarter of it, whatever you can actually pay, it will take the burden on the back end off of you a little bit, because you absolutely will be required to pay that back. In addition to seeking legal counsel before initiating evictions on the landlord side, we definitely recommend any person who is experiencing any harassments or threats from landlords to either seek legal aid, legal assistance, or also contacting Fair Housing Council of Riverside County. We do work with landlords, and we are able to mediate in a lot of cases to keep the situation from escalating. At this time, nobody should be harassed, and that is one thing I can tell you. Our calls are indicating countywide, not specifically Palm Springs, but countywide, we are seeing a large increase of harassment calls to tenants who are unable to make those payments due to the COVID-19. Next slide. So in addition to this, of course, the state of California is working on providing financial relief to residents that are struggling to make their mortgage due to this. There are rules in place that are going to assist with this, one of which is providing a 90-day grace period to make mortgage payments. They're working on getting a 90-day relief for fees and charges. So if you have a mortgage, these are some of the things that you will need to keep in mind. There is a 60-day moratorium on initiating foreclosure, sales, and evictions, which is very important, as well as a streamlined process for borrowers to request temporary forbearance of mortgage payments. And a temporary forbearance on mortgage payments is basically they allow you to skip 1, 2, or 3, however many is necessary. And a lot of times that payment will be added either to the back end of your mortgage. They'll extend the payment period of your mortgage. There are many different ways that the mortgage companies can operate to assist with that. Next slide. They're also from a lot of the financial institutions. Some of them are offering deferred payments, which, as I said, either shift the payment to the end or they'll extend the period. What is being pushed for is that there will be no negative impact on credit scores for borrowers using this program. So if you are forced to participate in a forbearance or a modification due to the COVID-19, you've missed some payments, the idea is that you are not impacted on your credit for future needs. A lot of the participating lenders have agreed to waive mortgage-related fees and late fees and other erroneous fees that sometimes happen during that 90-day period. The participating lenders are going to work with the borrowers, providing additional relief even after the 90-day grace period, because they know that just because the COVID-19 crisis may have passed, it does not mean that the financial impact is over. So they will be working with you after the 90 days. And the state programs are also likely to be expanded in the coming weeks, given the federal government implements also new measures, which hopefully will stabilize the housing market. There is a website that's available that can show you which lenders which lenders are participating in. And I can tell you those participating financial institutions, the list is constantly being updated. So I recommend that you go to that website at dbo.ca.gov, COVID-19 updates, and keep an eye on that one. So what is recommended from a counseling standpoint in terms of those needing mortgage relief is, one, make sure that you contact and work directly with your mortgage servicer. Do not simply not make that payment and expect that you are going to qualify for the assistance. Just like with the landlord-tenant relationships, the mortgagee and mortgagor relationship needs to stay open, and there needs to be constant communication with it. Once the terms of forbearance have been agreed between you and your mortgage servicer, you need to the best of your ability, follow through with those situations. One of the things that we all know right now is we are very unclear as to how severe or how long the COVID-19 impacts will be. Again, as I said, just because the pandemic may be technically over, it doesn't mean that the financial impacts will not be more long-term. And the financial institutions are committed to provide that necessary relief in assessing the ongoing condition and providing additional relief as necessary. You know, there are those people that have lost their job that they may not go back to work immediately. The mortgage relief right now is currently only available for residential mortgages, but that also is likely to change. One of the things that's very important, if your mortgage company is not working with you, if they're not being cooperative, you can definitely file a complaint with the Department of Business Oversight, or you can contact the DBO Consumer Services. You can also contact Fair Housing Council of Riverside County. We do have a counselor on staff that will assist you at no charge. So under the federal government mortgage relief, the coronavirus aid relief and economic security, that's the CARES Act, passed March 27th. There is additional relief for homeowners with government guaranteed mortgages. Now, when we talk about government guaranteed mortgages, we're talking about mortgages that are backed by the Federal Housing Authority, the United States Department of Agriculture, Department of Veterans Affairs, Department of Housing and Urban Development, Fannie Mae, or Freddie Mac. These are eligible for loan forbearances for up to 1 year without fees, penalties, or additional interest, with restrictions on reporting mortgage delinquencies to credit bureaus and limitations on foreclosures and certain evictions. So this means if you have been severely impacted by COVID-19 and it has changed your financial capability, you could receive up to 1 year in deferment to be able to get financially back on your feet. According to the Government Mortgage Relief Act, loan servicers may not initiate foreclosure for not less than 60 days beginning on March 18th, 2020. So no foreclosures can even be begun during this 60-day window. The one thing to understand, even with a forbearance, with a modification, or any of the programs, is the interest will continue to accrue. So the amount that you owe on that loan will continue to increase, even though you're not required to pay on it. So don't request a year forbearance if you're not going to need a full year, because that will be one complete year of interest that will be added onto that loan, which could then also make the loan unaffordable in the future. So of course, if you have any questions regarding all of this, you can definitely email those questions to coronavirusquestions@palmspringsca.gov, or you can also call the Palm Springs COVID-19 hotline at 760-902-1155.
Great. And those questions, just so everyone knows, we will compile and we will post them on our website and get them out to folks. So just wanted to let everyone know that. And now we're going to move over to fair housing and mediation. And Nathan, I think you're also covering that. So thank you, and Megan, both for that last piece as well.
My pleasure. My portion on the fair housing will be definitely cut short. One of the things that's very important to understand is fair housing. Right now, we are concentrating on the landlord tenant and the mortgagee mortgagor issues that are coming up. But we are also very strongly involved in fair housing across the county. And one of the things that's very important for any tenants that are listening to this call to know is, even now, rental discrimination could become a problem. And also, once the moratoriums are lifted, it's very important that you understand what your rights are and know that you are protected under many federal as well as state classes. Fair Housing Council of Riverside County is operating pretty much as usual. Our Palm Springs office right now is closed. We are operating strictly out of our Riverside office, but we are working, live calls are being accepted between 9 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. We have also established an after hours lines, which I will be posting on our website this afternoon. And those will be between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. We have equipped many of our counselors with cell phones, and those cell phones will be live and active between 4 and 7 o'clock. So if you are having any issues, if you're having any concerns, if you're being harassed by a landlord who is trying to still collect rent right now during the COVID-19, please feel free to give our office a call. If by chance you do have to leave a message, all calls are returned within 24 hours, generally a lot sooner than that. Fair Housing Council of Riverside County stands ready to assist not just renters, but landlords, homeowners. We stand ready to assist you in any way we possibly can, now during the COVID-19 and afterwards. Fair housing is for everyone, not just renters. It's for owners and landlords. And it's important that you know that there is a place to turn when you have questions. Also, our website is at fairhousing.net, and we have begun to compile and are constantly updating information. We have information for mortgage relief. We have information regarding tenants' rights on evictions. And as well, we also provide public health tips. Within our tenants page, we have hyperlinked all cities. So if you're calling from outside of Palm Springs and you had questions about your particular city, we have hyperlinked the city council rules and regulations and moratoriums for all of the cities within the county. So that is some very helpful information. Again, as things change, as we get new guidance from the federal level, from the state, from the county, and the local city, we are constantly updating this information. And with that, I believe I've got it. Thanks.
Hey, thank you so much, Nathan. Really appreciate all your work, all the time, especially during this crisis. The next piece, which I'm just going to go through really quickly, is nonprofit community resources. And what we've done is we've reached out to nonprofits that the city works with, nonprofits the city has funded, and the Community Leadership Council. Rhonda Hart has reached out as well. And we're continuing to accumulate a list of nonprofit service providers who are providing services during this crisis for people in need. And we will just keep those with links and phone numbers on our website. We're going to continue to update those. There are a whole bunch of organizations that are doing things, and it's really important to get that information out. We've also had people ask who to donate to. So whether you need services from any of these organizations, or whether you'd like to donate to an organization that is focused on providing services during this time, we're going to just continue to update this on our website so people know who to reach out to. Just really important to get that information out. So we're going to continue to accumulate it. So if anyone on the webinar or listening to it later is aware of an organization or is involved with an organization that is providing direct services, please let us know. You can email me directly. My email's on the website, but it's geoff.kors@palmspringsca.gov, and we will add it to this list. So please take a look at it, see if there's a service that can help you out during this time. I do want to get into some of the government assistance programs that are available. There's CalFresh and SNAP, which provides low-income households with benefits they can use for food. And that information, both their website and their phone number, is listed with a hyperlink. There's special supplemental nutritional programs for women, infants, and children, WIC, also their information. And there's CalWorks as well, which also provides assistance for eligible needy families with minor children. There are cash assistance programs through the state. There's general leave programs as well through the county. And there's low-income home energy assistance programs and Medi-Cal. So all of that is listed here with links and phone numbers so people can reach out and find out whether they're eligible and how to get these important government services. As far as homelessness resources, I want to provide a little information. There's a Home Connect hotline, which goes directly to the county. It's 800-498-8847. And there's a Coachella Valley Outreach Hotline, 760-601-5424. There is emergency overnight shelter 7 days a week at the Palm Springs High School in their gymnasium. It is being managed by CVRM. The county is funding this during this crisis. The address is 2401 East Baristo Road, and it's open from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And we are working with the county to try and have that open 24 hours a day. Well in the Desert is continuing to operate between 7:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. They are at 441 South Cayenne in Palm Springs, and their information is listed on the slide. There's also a homeless access center that Path of Life is running through money that the city was awarded, and CVAG. That is right near City Hall at 225 South El Cielo Road, across from the airport. That is open Monday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And their phone number and link is listed there. And then we have a homeless resource service and services page on our website that people can get to, and the hyperlink is listed here as well. I want to go a little bit into utilities and bank relief, focusing mostly on the utility relief that is available for people who have difficulty paying for them right now. So the statewide executive order that the governor issued asked the California Public Utilities Commission to look at measures by public and private utilities to implement customer service protections for critical utilities, things like electric, gas, water, internet, landline telephone, and cell service, and to do so on a weekly basis. So I want to provide some information about local utility providers. The Desert Water Agency, their board of directors unanimously voted to waive all late fees, and they're going to hold off on any water shutdowns for at least 60 days starting March 17th. And again, all the utilities' phone numbers and links to their websites are listed. Southern California Gas, their service disconnections have been suspended until further notice, so no one will lose their natural gas turn off or see it turned off due to non-payment. If their income is changed, people may qualify for 20% off their natural gas bill with CARE. And if you're currently on CARE, which is utility reductions, you don't need to get recertified, but if people want to apply, there's a link to do that, and I'll be giving a phone number for that as well. Next slide. Southern California Edison is temporarily suspending disconnections for customers unable to pay their bill. They will waive late payment fees by request if it impacts the customer's ability to make a timely payment. SEE and Desert Community Energy, which is the program most Palm Springs residents will now be on. Edison does the bills, and we've arranged that the exact same rules apply. There will be no disconnections of customers unable to pay your bill, and there'll be a waiver of late payment fees if requested by the customers. The Desert Community Energy has a plan called Desert Saver that is the least expensive electricity you can get. There's also the more expensive 100% carbon-free plan. If people want to be on the lower plan, they can reach out to Desert Community Energy at their website or call them at 855-357-7240, and that is on the website. In addition, Desert Community Energy is working with Lift to Rise to reach out to and help low-income customers get on both CARE and FARA plans. They're the discount rates that get people up to 30% discount on their utility bills if they qualify. And you can call Lift to Rise, and they will help you in partnership with Desert Community Energy to apply for CARE and FARA programs. And their number is 760-469-9284. or email utilitydiscount@lifttorise.org. Next slide. Numerous communication companies are listed: Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, Spectrum. Spectrum is also offering free access to internet and Wi-Fi for 60 days for pre-K to 12th grade, college students, and teacher households who don't currently have internet or Wi-Fi services. They're going to waive any installation or prepayment fees to help people get started. Next slide. We've been working, and our deputy city manager, who is doing all the IT work for the city, including this, Aaron Brown, has been working on figuring out ways for people who don't have internet connectivity to get that. Everyone.org has a whole bunch of offers on how to get low-cost or no-cost internet. There's a link on this. People can go to that link and find various offers that are available. And we're continuing to work to try and address the digital divide so that no one is without internet during this crisis. Here's some more information, both Spectrum Internet Assist, which is $17.99 a month, and Frontier has Fundamental Internet, which is $19.99 a month, and the sign-up links are available on this as well. We will keep a updated list of banks offering relief to customers. I won't go through all the banks here, and there's another link that Nathan mentioned that updates ones that are helping on mortgages, but we will keep this updated throughout the crisis so people know how to contact banks that they have relationships with. Next slide. And now we want to touch on food availability and issues relating to pharmacies. And I want to turn this over to Mayor Pro Tem Christy Holstage to lead this discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the city has been working closely with a lot of community partners to get food access to people in our community. We understand that, while a lot of our residents use food banks, every month, every week, every day, a lot of people might need food who haven't accessed these resources before. So we want to go through what food assistance there is in the city of Palm Springs. First, Find Food Bank is actually started a new drive-through or walk-through if you don't have a car, rapid response food pantry. That's at the convention center, and it's the first and third Thursday of the month from 3:30 to 7:30 p.m. at our Palm Springs Convention Center. That's set up with the National Guard, and they're able to serve 1,000 people or more every time that they do this. So this is an easy way to get big, bags of groceries, things that you need. You don't have to be a Palm Springs resident. Anyone can access and visit this site, and that will be ongoing. We also have free meals for all children during school closures, and that's through the Palm Springs Unified School District. Many of our other school districts are doing this as well if you live in a different school district area, but it's free student meal distribution for all students as well as other children under 18 throughout the shutdown. So you can pick these meals up at most school site parking lots and also bus routes. I'm hearing that it's really easy to access this food. So you can call 760-322-4117 for more information. You can also visit their website. Well in the Desert is continuing to do hot meals most of the days of the week. So you can contact Well in the Desert. They have locations and times. You can call them 760-656-5905. The mayor also listed WIC services, food access and public benefits for women and infants and children. So you can contact, the best way is the Department of Public Social Services. If you need public benefits, they have an office in Cathedral City. You can go to their website through the county DPSS and get more information about those programs. Next slide. Here's the list. We have food assistance. So while Find Food Bank is doing this big food rapid response at the convention center, they also, with community partners, have ongoing food assistance every week. So you have Find Mobile Market at Desert AIDS Project. We're continuing the second and fourth Thursday of the month, the Find Mobile Market at James O. Jesse Desert Highlands Unity Center. The center, the LGBT Center, has food assistance on Thursday evenings. And you can see here, St. Teresa's Catholic Church, Desert Chapel, First Baptist Church, and AIDS Assistance Program all have food distribution either every week or a few times a month, and you can get that information here on this slide. Next slide. For pharmacy delivery services, I won't go over this in detail, but we just wanted to list. We know many of our residents are at risk or seniors and unable really to follow, following the recommendations and guidelines to leave the house or putting themselves at risk. And it's not just for seniors, it's really for all of us. But we wanted to list pharmacy delivery services, and we are encouraging you to use delivery services as much as possible so you don't need to leave the house and risk your health and safety or your families. So you can see here Walgreens, CVS, many of other pharmacies are doing delivery services, waiving delivery fees or not charging their normal charges. There's also Palm Springs Errands and More, private, enterprises which are offering to provide, do errands for people who are homebound. Here we have a list of grocery stores offering delivery services. So many of your normal grocery stores in Palm Springs and throughout the Coachella Valley are offering delivery or pickup services. You can shop online and then either pick those up or have them delivered to you. Just a list of all the grocery stores, their contact information. You can contact the store, or you can go online to see what delivery services they're offering. There are also third-party grocery delivery services. So this is Instacart, Shipt, Postmates. You can go to those websites and see if there are delivery slots available for our city. Many people are using this service to get groceries delivered. There's free grocery delivery to seniors over 65. So Heaven Heights is offering help with grocery shopping for the next 2 months to any Valley resident over 65, and the program is free. And they're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can reach them at 760-469-4999 for help. And the Palm Springs errands and more, which I listed. So if you need help, you can always, there's senior shopping options as well. So here we've listed the current senior shopping hours. These are actually for seniors and people who are at risk, and many stores are doing certain hours for essential workers or medical workers as well. So here we've listed the current daily shopping hours for seniors or people who are at risk. This is changing pretty rapidly, so contact the store directly. We have their phone numbers there to know when it might be safest for you to shop. And so if you have other questions, you have specific questions, you can always call our Palm Springs hotline, and we will get up-to-date information for you, as all of this is changing pretty quickly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem. Before we close, I do want to share a little information. Yesterday, Dr. Cameron Kaiser with the County Department of Public Health, shared that they expect all of our ICU beds in the county, all of Riverside County, will be filled by April 14th, less than a week from now. And all hospital beds will be filled by April 23rd. So the importance of staying home unless you absolutely need to leave your house, if you're an essential worker, staying safe. If you don't need to leave your house, don't. I know a lot of people have gone, out shopping and they want to go to 4 or 5 different stores. It's just a way to get out of the house, which we all appreciate. But the more you don't do it, the safer you will be, and the safer you'll keep everyone else, and the safer we will all get through this. So this is a very hard time for everyone, and people are doing such an amazing job. We also know that self-isolation is really hard, and people are feeling scared and lonely. We have resources for people who need mental health services. Reach out to friends and family if you can. There are organizations listed in the nonprofit section that are really there to help talk through with people. So please use those. We want everyone to feel supported throughout this effort. There are times I feel especially privileged to live in Palm Springs in this valley. All the time, really fortunate, but really right now, I've never been more privileged to live in a place where we take care of each other, which we are doing so well, where we treat each other like family, and we're here for each other. So please reach out to any of us, the entire city council. Our emails are on the website. Please reach out to us with any questions, anything you need. That's what we're here for. We want to help everyone get through this as best as possible, and look forward to the time when we can all be together in person again. So thank you to our terrific panelists who did so much work to get ready for this and to provide this information, and for everyone who called in or is listening to this after. And we'll continue to update this information, and we'll continue to do this on an ongoing basis throughout this crisis. So thank you, and have a great and safe day, everyone. Be well.